Before we start, if you enjoy smart stories about real work, real consequences, and quiet revenge, go ahead and subscribe. You don't want to miss where this goes. My name is Daniel Cooper. I knew it was over the second Lena Whitmore walked into my office with that smile. Not a friendly one. The kind that says someone just made a decision about your life, and already moved on. She was holding a thin folder like it mattered. It didn't. What mattered was the kombucha tap she'd installed in the break room the week before. Organic. Unfiltered. Smelled like regret and gym socks. That's when I knew that I'm 47 years old. And for almost 15 years, I was the Safety and Environmental Compliance Director at Northway Industrial Systems, right here in the Midwest. That title sounds boring. It isn't. It means I was the reason the plant stayed open. The reason inspectors left smiling. The reason no one lost a hand, or a life. When I arrived years ago, this place was one bad inspection away from getting shut down. I didn't fix it with buzzwords. I fixed it with systems. With discipline. With memory. I knew every machine that rattled too much. Every sensor that lied. Every workaround that kept us legal without shutting down production, and I knew every secret. The email came on a Wednesday morning. Subject line, Operational Optimization Initiative. That's corporate for bring your badge. The meeting was scheduled for mid-morning. Late enough to ruin your whole day. Early enough to pretend it was efficient. I walked into what used to be the founder's office. Back when Margaret Whitmore ran this place, the room smelled like machine oil and black coffee. Now, white walls. Glass desk. Standing workstation. Nobody ever stood at. It looked like a tech startup had crashed into a meditation app. Lena was behind the desk. Early 30s. MBA. Inherited confidence. No safety shoes. Designer flats. She had never stepped onto the factory floor. Not once. Daniel, have a seat, she said. The chair looked expensive and uncomfortable. Like it hated spines. We're making some exciting changes. I nodded. 14 years in the Navy taught me one thing. Don't react until you understand the threat. Changes? I asked. Exactly, she said. We're moving toward a more agile, digital-first compliance strategy. We need fresh thinking. I waited. We've partnered with a consulting firm, she continued. They're automating most of the safety workflow. There it was, automation. The favorite word of people who've never been responsible for consequences. I leaned forward. Federal safety compliance doesn't work like an app, I said. It's inspectors. Clipboards. Authority to shut us down. She smiled. The smile people use when they've already stopped listening. We appreciate your legacy, she said. But we're going in a new direction. Then she said it, we're letting you go. Effective immediately. No anger hit me. No shock, just calm, the same calm I used to feel during emergency drills at sea. You're firing me, I said. We're right-sizing, she corrected. Tapping her pen on the desk. Right-sizing, she slid a document toward me. 3 weeks of severance. 3 weeks. I looked at the glass walls. Beyond them, machines were running. Sensors blinking. Systems alive, all of it built around decisions I made every single day. Badge and laptop, she said. Security will help you gather your things. I stood up slowly. Just so we're clear, I said, steady. You're terminating my employment. Removing my access. And assuming everything continues to work. Yes. I placed my badge on the desk. The plastic was cracked. Edges worn smooth from years of use. Then the laptop. The safety system isn't just files, I said. It requires daily review. She waved it off. Already checking her phone, security walked me out. At the front gate. Mark, the guard, avoided my eyes. I'm sorry, man, he said quietly. Don't be, I replied. Just do me a favor. Yeah. Tomorrow morning, keep your head down. He frowned. Why? I lit a cigarette once I hit the sidewalk. Took a slow breath, because that's when the future collects on the past. Here's the thing Lena never understood: compliance wasn't a department that IT was me, and the system she thought she inherited wasn't hers, the automated reports. The data feeds. The cloud connection regulators checked every morning. They didn't run on company credentials, they ran on mine. Every day, before the plant woke up, I logged in. Reviewed the numbers. Corrected the sensors that always drifted. Approved the report, missed that approval, and the system didn't stop that IT told the truth. Raw data. Unfiltered. Every spike. Every error. Every alarm, straight to the federal database. No human judgment. No corrections. That I got into my truck and drove home, classic rock on the radio. Hands steady. That I wasn't angry, that I was curious, because the countdown had already started, and nobody inside that building knew it yet. That I didn't rush home. That surprised me. For almost 15 years, my body had been trained to react fast. Alarm rings, you move. Alert flashes, you respond. But that afternoon, I drove like I had nowhere to be. Because for the first time in a long time, I didn't. My house sits on the edge of town. Nothing fancy. Clean. Quiet. Built to last. That I set my keys down. Fed Ranger, my old German Shepherd. Poured myself a drink, and then I opened my personal laptop. The screen lit up instantly. There it was. The dashboard, green lights. Steady streams of data. The heartbeat of the factory. People think safety systems are automatic. They aren't. That they're like instruments on an airplane. The numbers don't mean anything unless someone knows how to read them. That I watched the air quality graphs climb slightly. Normal for this time of day. Heat buildup. Machines warming up. The vibration sensors on line 3 fluttered. That press always did that when production ramped. Usually, I'd adjust the threshold. Log the reason. Sign off. Today I did nothing. The system kept running. Late afternoon rolled in, night shift came online. That's when things always got interesting. Without me watching, small issues didn't get corrected. They stacked. A temperature sensor spiked and never came back down. A noise reading crossed into an uncomfortable zone. A chemical monitor threw an error instead of a value. None of it meant disaster. Not yet, but raw data doesn't explain context. Raw data just reports. That I leaned back in my chair and exhaled slowly. This was the gap Lena created. The empty space where experience used to live. She thought consultants could fill it. They couldn't even spell it. That evening, my phone buzzed. A text from Claire in accounting. Hey, random question. Who approves the safety dashboard now? I stared at the message for a moment, then typed back, not my department anymore. 3 dots appeared. Then disappeared. That I didn't feel guilty. Guilt belongs to people who did something wrong. That I didn't. That I cooked dinner. Watched the news. Laughed at something stupid on television. The laptop stayed open on the table. By late night, the dashboard colors began to shift. Not red yet. Yellow. Warning shades. The kind inspectors noticed. That I checked the scheduled task. The report would compile in the early morning. Transmit automatically. Usually, I reviewed it first, filtered out known sensor interference. Applied correction factors I'd calculated over years. That I hovered over the settings. 1 click could stop it all. 1 click could pause transmission and spare them. That I didn't click. Instead, I disabled my review requirement. Then I disabled the correction layer. No sabotage. No deletion, just truth, unfiltered. That I closed the laptop. That night, I slept deeply. No alarms in my head. No mental checklists. Morning came quietly. That I woke up early out of habit. Made real coffee. The good kind. Sat at the kitchen table. The laptop booted up. Status indicators blinked. The system was awake. Somewhere across town, machines were running. People were working. Managers were pretending everything was under control. They had no idea what the system was about to say. A message popped up. Transmission queued. I didn't touch anything. The progress bar began to move, slow. Methodical, packet after packet. Once data goes into a federal system, it doesn't come back out. My phone buzzed again. Claire, something's wrong. Consultants are asking where historical calibrations are stored. I smiled faintly. Those weren't files. They were decisions. Written into my head. Another message came in. This time from Evan, maintenance. Hey Dan, do you know why the dashboard just went red? I took a sip of coffee. The progress bar completed, transmission successful. That was it. The factory had just officially told the government something very important, not that things were broken. Not that anyone was hurt, but that no one knew for sure, and to regulators, uncertainty is worse than failure. I closed the laptop. By the time the sun was fully up, my phone started lighting up. Messages. Missed calls, confusion spreading faster than any alarm. Then one text came through that told me everything. From Mark at the gate, black SUVs just rolled in. No badges yet. They didn't ask permission. I leaned back in my chair. That wasn't routine, that was response. That I knew what was happening inside those walls. Executives scrambling. Consultants staring at screens they didn't understand. Someone saying, this has to be a glitch. And Lena realizing that the thing she thought was a checkbox was actually the spine of the entire operation. Then my phone rang, unknown number. I let it ring. The silence felt earned, because the system wasn't broken. IT was finally speaking without me translating, and once regulators start listening, they don't stop easily. The phone didn't stop after that. I didn't answer. Because when people only call you after they need you, they don't actually want you. They want the problem gone. I stood at the kitchen window, watching the street wake up. Normal life. Trash trucks. Kids waiting for buses. Meanwhile, 30 miles away, an entire factory was unraveling. Another text came through. Claire again, production just stopped. Like, everything. That one made me close my eyes for a moment. A full stop meant the worst option had been pulled. Emergency protocol. That's not, take a break and reset. That's power down. Lockout. Secure materials. Every minute like that costs a fortune. My phone rang again. This time, I recognized the number, Northway Industrial Systems. I let it ring twice. Then answered Daniel Cooper. Daniel. Lena's voice was tight. Higher than usual. Thank God you picked up. I didn't respond. There's been a misunderstanding, she said quickly. Our system reported multiple violations. OSHA is here. They're shutting us down, but it's wrong. You know it's wrong. I stayed quiet. You built the system, she continued. You know how these sensors drift. This is obviously a technical issue. It's reporting what it sees, I said calmly. But you can fix it, she said. You can log in and correct the data. I exhaled slowly. No, I replied. What do you mean, no? Her tone sharpened. I don't work for Northway. So, she snapped. You still have access. That would be illegal, I said. Federal law. Unauthorized system access. Silence, then panic. Daniel, listen, she said. We're losing money every minute. Major contracts are at risk. I'll pay you. Consultant rate. Name it. I looked at the clock. Not exact time. Just morning. This isn't a tech glitch, I said. This is what happens when there's no one reviewing the data. You're doing this on purpose, she said, her voice cracking. No, I replied. I'm doing nothing. That's when it hit her. Nothing is dangerous. She lowered her voice. Please. That word didn't land. She hadn't used it yesterday. Or during the meeting. This is a management problem, I said. You should ask your consultants. She hung up. That I knew what was happening on site. Inspectors weren't looking for explanations. They were looking for responsibility, and there was no safety officer to speak for the system. Another call came in, different number. A man's voice. Calm. Precise, Mr. Cooper. This is Agent Harris, Federal Safety Enforcement. We're conducting an emergency inspection at Northway. We need clarification on historical calibration data. I paused. I'm no longer employed there, I said. You'll need to speak with current management. You designed the system, he replied. And your name is attached to the data pipeline. I designed it, I said. I don't operate it anymore. He understood that immediately. Understood, he said. We'll proceed accordingly. Click, that was worse for them. No interpreter. No context, just raw numbers and federal assumptions. Another message from Mark, yellow tape everywhere. Whole floor locked. Consultants look like they're about to throw up. I almost laughed. Almost. What Lena never understood was this: the system wasn't built to protect the company. It was built to protect people, and when no one was accountable, it defaulted to caution. The phone rang again. Different caller ID. Margaret Whitmore, the founder. I answered. What the hell is going on? She demanded that I respected her too much to sugarcoat it. I was terminated without transition, I said. The safety system is reporting unreviewed data. Regulators reacted. She fired you? Margaret said sharply, yes. A long breath on the other end. That girl, she muttered. Can you fix it? She asked. Yes, I said. How? I'd need temporary authority. Access. And time. And cost? She asked. That I hesitated, then I remembered the glass desk. The 3-week severance. The smile that I named a number. Silence, then a low laugh. Send the contract, she said. An hour later, the paperwork arrived. I read it carefully. Signed. Then I stood up, put on my boots, and drove back to the place that had just learned the cost of assuming experience was optional. Inside the building, it smelled like stress. The inspectors were waiting. Lena stood off to the side. She didn't meet my eyes. I nodded at the agents. Logged into the system, for the first time since yesterday, the data had a voice again. I walked them through the interference patterns. The sensor drift history. The corrections logged over years, not excuses. Evidence. By the time I finished, the room felt different, calmer. Agent Harris closed his laptop. Cease order will be lifted pending corrections, he said. You got lucky. He looked at Lena. Very lucky. I logged out, handed over credentials, and walked away again, this time on my terms, because the lesson had landed. And in the next part, we see what happens after the bill comes due. I didn't go back the next day. I didn't need to. The system was stabilized. The inspectors were satisfied. And the damage was already done. You can't unring a bell like that. For the first time in its history, Northway Industrial Systems had been shut down by its own ignorance. Not sabotage. Not malice. Assumption. I spent that morning in my workshop. It's a quiet place. Concrete floor. Old tools that still work because they're maintained. Experience respects maintenance. My phone buzzed a few times. I ignored it. By the afternoon, I answered one call. Margaret again. They want you back, she said. Vice President title. Full authority. I smiled, but not happily. Too late, I said. You could fix everything, she replied. I already did, I said. Just not for them. She understood. I'm selling, she said after a pause. 30 cents on the dollar. I didn't respond. Some lessons cost money. Others cost pride. Later that week, I heard how it played out. Contracts renegotiated. Penalties paid. Consultants quietly removed. Lena resigned, not fired. Resigned. Her professional profile still listed her as seeking new opportunities. The people who mattered landed on their feet. Claire took a better job somewhere that valued her. Mark got promoted. The floor workers went back to work under stricter rules and better oversight. The system kept running, just without arrogance. One evening, I sat on my porch as the sun dropped behind the trees. Ranger nudged a tennis ball toward my foot. I tossed it. He ran. Came back proud. What do you think? I asked him quietly. Did we do the right thing? He wagged his tail. good enough for me. For years, I'd been invisible. Doing things right so nothing went wrong. That's the curse of competence. No one notices until it's gone. They thought they were paying me for a role. They were paying me for judgment, and judgment isn't replaceable, not by software. Not by consultants. Not by confidence. That I didn't win a war. That I just let reality speak without translation, and it said exactly what it needed to say.